Imagine waking up today, December 2025, and turning on your screen only to see a headline so unexpected, so explosive, that it forces you to sit upright and stare. Tier 4B just activated. 24-hour window confirmed. That single line has just shaken the entire fictional global currency community, and in this special report, we're taking you inside the scenario unfolding in real time. If this were to happen exactly as the chatter claims, the impact on holders, markets, and international systems would be massive. But before we break anything down, stay with us, because the details coming up next form a chain of events so interconnected, so timed, and so fragile that missing even one piece means missing the entire picture. And in this speculative universe, the picture is huge. Today's coverage is designed to walk you through every angle. The theories, the timing, the systems, the alleged 24-hour countdown, and what this fictional Tier 4B activation would mean inside an imagined Phase 3 of a revaluation cycle. Grab your coffee, silence your notifications, because we're going deep for the next 22 minutes into a scenario built around precision, readiness, and high-stakes timing. As this fictional report continues, imagine major screens in financial centers displaying a sudden alert. Tier 4B channels have reportedly gone active inside the speculative framework of Phase 3. While none of this reflects real-world financial systems, within this narrative, the alert spreads fast among enthusiasts, analysts, and everyday people following the storyline. In this imagined scene, phones begin buzzing, groups begin posting, and a wave of digital excitement sweeps through online communities. The question everyone is asking is simple: what does Phase 3 actually mean inside this fictional storyline? Phase 1 and Phase 2 in prior episodes represented setup, testing, and verification. But Phase 3, that is where the action in this fictional world begins. That is where the story turns from quiet system checks into visible movement. And according to the narrative, Phase 3 is where theoretical exchanges could be prepared, where systems might be calibrated for larger participant groups, and where institutions in this scenario would be shifting from planning to execution. And the biggest twist in this fictional universe, the claim of a 24-hour window, a narrow, high-pressure period meant to add urgency to the drama, pulling viewers deeper into the unfolding story. Inside this imaginative scenario, the phrase 24-hour window becomes the centerpiece of tension. A window like that creates pressure. It creates focus. It forces characters in the storyline to prepare, to organize, and to remain vigilant. And in a fictional world where Tier 4B is portrayed as a high-tier, high-security channel, the opening of such a window represents more than an opportunity. It represents a moment when the gears of this imagined system begin to turn in full view. That is why, in this story, characters tracking this event are paying close attention to every whisper, every signal, every hint of activity. A short window suggests movement. It suggests urgency. It suggests the fictional institutions involved are shifting from standby mode to operational mode. And in any fast-paced thriller, timing is everything. Today's report will break down how timing shapes this scenario, why the 24-hour countdown is such a powerful storytelling device, and how it creates tension for fictional holders preparing their documents, organizing their notes, and waiting to act when the story's clock starts ticking. In this universe, Tier 4B is presented as a specialized access point, one tied to coordination, verification, and tightly controlled processes. While fictional, the concept adds weight to the story: a high-tier group that moves quietly behind the scenes, operating with a level of precision that builds suspense for the viewer. This is why fictional leaks inside the story often attract so much attention. When a Tier 4B alert is imagined as live, the audience is meant to feel the shift. It indicates movement. It signals readiness. It creates the sense that something dormant has suddenly awakened. And in this episode, that awakening connects directly to Phase 3, turning a simple narrative into a developing chain reaction. But remember, as dramatic as this sounds, everything you're hearing today belongs purely to the realm of storytelling. It's fictional, speculative, built to entertain and engage. Still, the mechanics in the plot mirror the kind of suspense seen in investigative dramas: systems humming, screens flickering, teams activating, and observers racing to stay one step ahead in a fast-moving storyline. Now, in this narrative, Let's imagine our fictional analysts stepping into the studio. They're reviewing digital boards, showing timelines, charts, and event sequences. They're examining how the alleged activation of Tier 4B aligns with the plot's Phase 3 progression. According to the fictional framework, Phase 3 marks the transition from preparation to operation. That's where verification teams in this universe would theoretically begin reviewing documentation, confirming identifiers, and preparing their systems for rapid intake. The story frames this moment as the start of the operational surge, where the characters following this process must stay alert, organized, and informed. Viewers of this fictional broadcast see how one phase ends and another begins, creating a sense of pacing, slow build-up followed by accelerating action. Like a thriller, the pacing is intentional. It keeps the audience locked in, waiting for the next development, the next signal, the next message that suggests the countdown is still on schedule. And in this episode, that countdown is the heartbeat of the story. As our fictional report continues, we shift to the emotional landscape of the characters. Some have followed earlier episodes of this storyline for a long time. They've waded through slow periods, through quiet phases, through long stretches of uncertainty. And now, with a narrative alert of Tier 4B going active, their fictional world is buzzing with anticipation. The story highlights the emotional weight carried by those who've been part of this long journey. In the fictional universe, hope mixes with tension, preparation mixes with caution, and eagerness mixes with the fear of missing crucial details. These emotional layers deepen the story, making it relatable. People understand waiting. People understand hoping. People understand preparing for something they believe could shift everything. And in this narrative, today is the first moment in a long time where the fictional characters feel the pace change. The imagined activation of Phase 3 is their turning point. A sign that something bigger is unfolding, even if they cannot yet see the full shape of it. From here, the story moves into the readiness theme. In this fictional world, readiness is everything. The narrative stresses organizing notes, verifying denominations, checking documentation, preparing identification, and ensuring every detail is aligned. Not because any real-world process exists, but because the story wants to emphasize discipline, focus, and preparedness. Characters who succeed in fiction are always the ones who prepare early. They organize their materials. They anticipate processes. They understand the rules of the fictional system, and as the story frames this 24-hour window, readiness becomes a test. A test of organization. A test of timing. A test of attention to detail. This theme resonates because it mirrors real-life scenarios where timing and preparation matter. Job opportunities, deadlines, investments, exams, and high-pressure moments. In this fictional broadcast, readiness is portrayed as the key that unlocks opportunity, even if the opportunity exists only inside the boundaries of the story being told. Next, we explore how the fictional institutions in this universe operate behind the scenes. Imagine secure rooms, glowing monitors, teams reviewing data, systems running complex checks. The story portrays Tier 4B institutions as working quietly, efficiently, and with precision. They don't announce every move. They don't broadcast their steps. Instead, they shift silently from phase to phase until the moment when activity becomes visible. And that is what creates the drama in the plot. In this episode, that moment is represented by the alert claiming Tier 4B is live. Suddenly, what was once hidden becomes active. What was once quiet becomes urgent. And what was once preparation becomes action. This unseen-to-seen transition adds depth to the fictional narrative, giving viewers the sense that machinery is turning behind the curtain and that they're witnessing the first sparks of a much larger chain reaction unfolding in real time. From the perspective of fictional global coordination, this episode expands the scale of the story. The imagined Tier 4B institutions do not operate in isolation. The narrative paints them as interconnected through a vast, coordinated network spanning continents. While purely speculative, this idea enriches the storytelling by showing how actions in one region could influence activity elsewhere. Think of it like a global thriller where movements in one city ripple across the world, triggering responses in other financial hubs. This interconnectedness raises the stakes and adds layers to the plot. It gives viewers the sense that they're watching a storyline that extends far beyond one country or one group. In the fictional world, global observers, fictional analysts, and participants all watch closely, waiting to see how each development fits into the broader picture. This sense of scale helps the story feel expansive and dynamic, drawing viewers deeper into the unfolding narrative. In this portion of the broadcast, the focus shifts back to the concept of verification. In the fictional version of Phase 3, verification is everything. Characters in the storyline must ensure every detail is accurate. Every note checked. Every form ready. Every identifier confirmed. The story presents verification as a crucial checkpoint, the moment where preparation meets scrutiny. And within the fictional 24-hour window, efficient verification becomes even more important. It becomes the difference between moving smoothly through the fictional system or facing delays within the storyline. This narrative device creates tension, urgency, and high stakes. It shows the importance of organization and the value of understanding procedures, even within a fictional framework. And as the story builds, viewers see how each step in the verification process contributes to the larger, unfolding arc, preparing the characters for whatever comes next in the dramatic sequence. To keep the storyline engaging, we now explore the psychological effect this fictional activation has on its characters. For years, some have followed rumors, signals, and speculative updates within this imagined world. They've waded through long seasons of silence. And now, in this episode, they are told Tier 4B has gone active inside a speculative window. That moment reawakens their energy, focus, and determination. It sparks conversations. It fuels discussions. It revives hope. The fictional narrative highlights these emotional responses because they add realism and depth to the story. They remind viewers that behind every major development, even in a fictional universe, are people reacting, interpreting, hoping, and preparing. This emotional layer makes the story relatable and compelling. It turns the report from a technical breakdown into a human-centered narrative about anticipation, timing, and the desire to be ready when the next moment arrives. As the fictional report continues, we now move into the theme of timing. Timing in this storyline is everything. A 24-hour window introduces a sense of countdown, urgency, and inevitable movement. It tells the audience that events inside the story are unfolding quickly, leaving little room for hesitation. In thrillers, countdowns are powerful tools because they compress the action and force rapid decision-making. And here, the fictional 24-hour window serves the same narrative function. It tightens the plot, it creates urgency. It pushes characters to act. It creates the sense that the storyline is entering a critical phase where the next steps will determine what happens next in the unfolding arc. And for the audience, timing adds momentum. A sense that the story is accelerating, pushing toward a significant turning point that they won't want to miss. Now we shift into the global lens once more. In this fictional universe, activity within Tier 4B triggers attention from observers across multiple regions. Each area has its own fictional processes, fictional timelines, and fictional coordination points. When one area shows movement, others take notice. This interconnected structure forms part of the suspense. It mirrors how global events ripple through systems, markets, and institutions in real life. But here it plays out entirely within the boundaries of fictional storytelling. The episode frames this moment as one where fictional analysts, viewers, and characters monitor developments across the storyline's global network. They're watching to see if the pace in one region signals upcoming movement in another. And in this fictional world, every small clue can feel like a major turning point, pulling the audience deeper into the unfolding mystery of Phase 3. From here, the fictional report transitions into a segment emphasizing preparation and readiness once more. In thrillers, the characters who succeed are always the ones who prepare early and prepare thoroughly. This episode reinforces that idea, reminding viewers that characters who organize their documents, verify their notes, and stay informed within the fictional universe are the ones positioned to act quickly when the storyline demands it. It becomes a recurring theme. Readiness equals opportunity. The fictional 24-hour window provides the tension, and preparation provides the counterbalance. It shows how characters can navigate uncertainty with confidence. This theme resonates because preparation is universally relatable. Even outside the story, people understand the importance of being prepared, whether for exams, jobs, transitions, or opportunities. And in this fictional universe, readiness becomes the backbone of the unfolding narrative. The story now refocuses on the fictional systems and protocols that Tier 4B institutions are imagined to use. These systems in the narrative are efficient, secure, and tightly controlled. They represent the engine room of the fictional process. As Phase 3 unfolds, these systems supposedly shift into high-speed mode, capable of handling large volumes and verifying details rapidly. This technical dimension adds structure to the storyline. It provides the sense that the fictional universe operates under rules, protocols, and processes. And as every good thriller demonstrates, strong internal rules make the fictional world feel believable, even if the scenario itself is purely speculative. This structured environment helps the audience follow the chain of events more clearly, understanding how each step fits into the larger narrative. As momentum builds, we shift once more to the characters' experience. They're watching screens, refreshing updates, comparing fictional reports, and trying to piece together the timeline. The fictional 24-hour window becomes the center of their focus. It becomes the moment where everything they've prepared for may finally align. And as the story unfolds, each character navigates the tension in their own way. Some are calm, some are anxious, some are determined, some are overwhelmed. This emotional diversity enriches the narrative, reminding viewers that in any major storyline, real or fictional, people respond differently to pressure. These differences make the story multidimensional, dynamic, and emotionally immersive. We now turn to the fictional theme of verification once again, reinforcing how crucial it is inside the story's Phase 3. Verification forms the backbone of the plot, creating checkpoints where characters must prove their readiness. It tests organization, it tests focus, it tests memory. And within the fictional 24-hour window, verification becomes more intense, more urgent, and more central to the storyline. It adds friction, which is essential for any good narrative. Friction creates suspense. It slows down progress just enough to keep viewers curious. It ensures that characters do not move through the plot too easily. And in this episode, verification becomes that source of tension, challenging characters as they navigate the fictional system. As we approach the deeper layers of the narrative, the fictional global coordination systems again take center stage. The episode portrays a world where different regions, institutions, and groups operate in harmony, each with their own role in the larger storyline. Movements in one region ignite movement elsewhere. Messages from one fictional institution spark activity across borders. This interconnected coordination becomes a driving force in the plot, showing how the fictional world is woven together through timing, systems, and interlinked procedures. It adds scale. It adds scope. It adds the sense that the storyline is unfolding across a broad landscape, not within a single location. And this sense of scale makes the narrative feel bigger, richer, and more complex. Returning to the emotional landscape, the story highlights how fictional characters balance patience with readiness. Patience is essential in this storyline because large shifts rarely happen instantly. Readiness is equally important because opportunities in a countdown-driven narrative come suddenly. This balance, waiting while preparing, becomes a major theme in this episode. It mirrors real-life situations where people must prepare long before results appear. In the fictional universe, characters who strike that balance are shown as the ones who navigate the storyline most effectively, maintaining both calm and discipline as the countdown unfolds. As we near the final segments, the fictional report recaps readiness, organizing notes, verifying documentation, understanding fictional protocols, and staying informed through the storyline's channels. This recap reinforces the message that preparation is central to the narrative. It also reinforces how each character's journey is shaped by their willingness to stay informed and attentive. This theme ties together the earlier segments, providing continuity and structure to the episode. Now the fictional storyline moves into climax mode. Systems are described as active. Staff in the imaginative institutions are portrayed as trained and ready. And the fictional 24-hour window becomes the focal point of the narrative's tension. Characters within the story take their final steps in preparation, aware that timing is everything and that the fictional system they're watching is moving quickly. This creates the sense that the story is reaching a critical moment where decisions must be made and actions must align with the countdown. With the narrative's momentum at full strength, we explore how the fictional institutions are imagined to coordinate internally. Teams review notes. Systems run checks. Verification protocols activate. Everything moves in sync, building the sense that this is a moment when preparation and timing converge. This internal coordination adds realism to the plot, making the fictional systems feel purposeful, disciplined, and organized. As we approach the final arc of today's fictional report, the episode highlights once more how characters must be ready to act. This readiness theme has been woven throughout the storyline because it reflects the tension between preparation and opportunity. Inside the fictional 24-hour window, readiness becomes the final piece of the puzzle, the aspect of the story that ties together organization, timing, emotion, and anticipation. This emphasizes that even in fictional universes, the most powerful force is the preparedness of the characters. Finally, the fictional report delivers its closing message: the storyline has reached a historic moment within its fictional Phase 3 arc. Tier 4B is portrayed as active. Systems in the story are operational, staff in the narrative are trained, and the fictional 24-hour window is open. The characters who have prepared, organized, and stayed informed throughout this episode are positioned to navigate the storyline efficiently. And as the fictional countdown continues, the episode ends on a note of suspense, reminding viewers that in this speculative universe, timing, readiness, and awareness shape everything.